Welcome to Talent Titans, the podcast where we bring you entrepreneurs and leaders from the global staffing industry. I'm your host, Suki Sodi. Now let's jump right on in and welcome today's Titan. Hi, welcome back to another episode of Talent Titans. We're diving into a topic that is both ironic and incredibly important: the candidate experience, especially when it comes to recruitment agencies themselves. We're going to explore why some agencies, despite preaching best practices to their clients, often fall short when it comes to their own hiring processes for both external and, shockingly enough, even for their internal staff. We'll look at the stats, we'll dissect the why, and most importantly, we'll look at some solutions. Now, we've all heard the saying, practice what you preach. In the recruitment world, few things are preached more passionately than the importance of a positive candidate experience. It's not just about being nice, it's about employer brand, talent acquisition, and of course, ultimately the bottom line. Yet we frequently hear stories and we see data that suggests some recruitment agencies, the very experts in talent acquisition, struggle to deliver this in their own internal operations. So let's start with the external candidates, the job seekers agencies are actively trying to place. Now, you'd think agencies would set the gold standard here, but the reality can be quite different. The impact, it's significant. Let me give you some numbers to consider. 82% of applicants surveyed believe that candidate experience in the recruitment process actually replicates what they would experience working for the company. Think about that for a moment. If an agency's process is disjointed or disrespectful, it's not just a bad experience with the agency, it is a red flag about the client they represent or even the agency itself as a potential employer. This comes directly from Talent Board's candidate experience benchmark research. Ghosting. Staggering 40% of job seekers said they were ghosted after the second or third round of interviews. That is after significant time and emotional investment, not just a no-show. 65% of candidates don't receive consistent communication at all. These figures are consistently reported in recruitment surveys such as CareerArch. Now, what's that ripple effect? Well, it's potent. 60% of candidates had a poor candidate experience, and 72% they were likely to share that experience publicly online. That means negative Glassdoor reviews, LinkedIn reviews, social media posts, word of mouth that can damage both the agencies and the very client they're representing employer brand. Again, that comes directly from CareerArch research. So, what's the cost of poor communication? Well, it's not just reputation. Nearly half of candidates, 47%, said poor communication would cause them to withdraw from the recruitment process. 53% of withdrawn candidates are pessimistic about the speed of the recruitment process. So, if your process is slow or unclear, you are literally losing good talent. So why is there such a disconnect? Well, for external candidate management, it boils down to a number of different things. Volume over quality. Agencies often operate on a high volume model, prioritizing filling roles quickly, that speed to market. The sheer number of candidates that you can personalization and consistent communication just becomes challenging. Then there's those candidates that can just become another number in the pipeline rather than an individual with unique aspirations. Sometimes, once a candidate is submitted to a client, the agent's communication drops and the candidate's kind of left in this limbo land, just waiting for the client feedback. Now, here's where it gets truly fascinating and often frustrating for candidates: when recruitment agencies hire their own internal staff. You would think they'd be masters of this, showcasing their own expertise. Yet the candidate experience for internal hires can be just as, if not more negative. It's the cobbler's children have no shoes syndrome. Cobbler spends all day making beautiful shoes for everyone else, but when it comes to his own kids, forget it, too tired, and they end up going barefoot. Agencies are experts at building recruitment processes for their clients, but their internal hiring often suffers from neglect. Got to ask yourself, why does this happen? Well, agency resources, time, candidate bandwidth, best in class tech are primarily directed at the client mandates. Internal hiring often takes a back seat, handled by busy recruiters juggling client workloads, which leads to less dedicated attention. There's this assumed understanding, an assumption that internal applicants or those within the recruitment industry just get it. They're expected to understand the delays, the lack of feedback, or the informal process, which often isn't the case. Now, when a role starts with an informal conversation or a referral, it's actually bypassed the structured processes an agency would advise their own clients. Now, this leads to confusing and inconsistent experiences. Then, of course, you have that delicate feedback. Giving feedback to an internal colleague or someone referred by a colleague can feel more sensitive, leading to delays or complete avoidance of communication. In other words, ghosting. I did try and find some direct stats on negative candidate experience for internal agency hires. Couldn't find anything. So we can look at the broader trends. Truth of the matter is, lack of feedback is still an issue. While 65% of North American employers give some sort of feedback to internal candidates, way better than the 17% for external, the overall number of candidates receiving constructive feedback is still very low. A Schema AI survey said only 30% of candidates reported getting constructive feedback after interviews. That's across the board. For an internal candidate, this can be particularly demoralizing and soul destroying. The average time to fill a position is roughly 42 days. Even for internal roles, the process isn't necessarily any faster, especially if it involves multiple internal stakeholders. 36% of candidates were still waiting a month or two on next steps after applying, and that's according to JobScore. Let's look at perception of bias. Internal recruitment can lead to the potential of resentment amongst staff and management if employees feel decisions are biased or unfair. This directly impacts the candidate's perception of the process fairness and their overall experience. The irony is stark. Agencies should advise their clients on being transparent. Communication, candidate care can sometimes become the biggest culprits. Slow, uncommunicative hiring process when it comes to their own people. This undermines credibility and creates internal dissatisfaction. So you've got to ask yourself, what's the fix? How can recruitment agencies align their internal and external candidate experience with the high standards they advocate for? Well, it boils down to being intentional, the process, empathy. When you prioritize being transparent and timely communication, acknowledgement, it's really important to make sure you have a process that you can implement immediately. Personalized acknowledgements for all applications, even for those internal roles. You've got to provide clear roadmaps. Give the candidate a clear outline of the hiring process, included estimated timelines for each stage. Don't just say we'll be in touch. Give them a time frame. If it's 2 weeks, tell them it's 2 weeks. Be proactive with your updates. Even if there's no news, that's still some news. Send regular updates. Hiring team is still reviewing application. We expect an update by X date. It builds trust. Remember, 83% of candidates want to know as soon as possible when they are no longer being considered. Again, that's data by JobScore. So, what about constructive feedback? Make this a non negotiable. For all interviewed candidates, including your internal ones, provide actionable, detailed feedback. 70% of rejected candidates say receiving detailed feedback would leave them with a positive impression according to JobScore. This is crucial for reputation and internal morale. Simplify applications. For clients and for internal roles, ensure applications are short and friendly. Make sure the application takes no more than 10 minutes. Utilize scheduling tools to minimize that backwards and forth and offer flexibility. Remember, respect the candidate's time. Be a true guide. Recruiters should act as advocates, preparing candidates thoroughly for interviews, be it internal or external, and offering support throughout. Treat candidates like customers. Agencies are selling a service to clients, but they're also selling opportunities to a candidate. A transactional approach undermines all of this. Leverage technology, but be smart about it. Optimize your ATS. Now, make sure your ATS is optimized for candidate communication experience, not just internal tracking. Use its capabilities for automated updates and reminders. Use internal communication platforms, Slack, Teams, to ensure internal hiring teams are aligned and responsive. What about audits and feedback loops? Apply to your own jobs, especially get everybody in that hiring process apply for their jobs. The management make them go through the whole application process for internal roles. What are the pain points? What's the wait time like? What's the frustration? Candidate surveys. Implement short post-interview surveys for all candidates, be it internal or external, to gather that direct feedback on their experience. Here's another stat for you. Only 11% of organizations track candidate satisfaction, and only 21% of candidates have been surveyed, according to Talent Board. What a missed opportunity for improvement. Regularly review feedback, internal processes, metrics, client feedback to identify and fix those bottlenecks. Don't fear those bottlenecks. When you know you've got them, you can do something about it. Improving candidate experience isn't just about optics. Companies with positive candidate experience are 3 times more likely to improve employee retention, 2 times more likely to improve employee performance, according to aptitude research. Now, for agencies upholding these standards, not only enhances their brand, their credibility, but it also makes them a true, valuable partner to their clients, attracting and delivering the best talent. And critically, it builds a stronger, more engaged internal team. The recruitment industry is built on connections, connecting talent with opportunities. For agencies to truly excel and live up to their reputation as a talent expert, they have to embody the principles of excellent candidate experience at every single interaction. That means transparency. That means respect, timely communication, and genuine care, whether it's for a candidate applying to a client role or someone seeking an internal position within their own organizations. By practicing what they preach, agencies can really solidify their brand, attract top tier talent, foster a culture of respect and efficiency both externally and internally. It's not just good business, it is the right thing to do. And that's all I have for you today. Again, I'd love to hear your comments, your opinions, some of your experience. Feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Talent Titans, brought to you by Recruitment Professional Forum, where they're building a grassroots community for professionals and leaders in the recruitment industry to collaborate, advocate, and advance the profession. If you liked or were inspired by what you heard, make sure to follow, subscribe, and even leave a review. It lets more talented recruiters like you find the show. Until next time, keep on being a talent titan.